Welcome to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf world. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me, Josh Mansfield. Josh, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, my friend. How was it?
Yeah, it was good. Got to spend some time with family in Boise and got in a round of disc golf. So that was always a good... I think that was on Black Friday, but, you know, always a good weekend when you get to play a round of disc golf. Weather was actually really, really nice, like 45 degrees, I think. No snow. So the best November disc golf you can ask for in Idaho. What about yours? Good Thanksgiving?
Very nice, very good. Nice. I was not traveling. I got back from Salt Lake City, and I went back home and stayed home. And so it was nice not to have to head around and drive and do all of the stuff during Thanksgiving and just have a few days off in New York. So it was really good. What was the best food you had?
The stuffing.
Great.
We talked about it in advance. And
we did.
Megan's aunt made just this fresh stuffing from scratch. It was excellent. So.
That's great. We also had from scratch stuffing. It was very good. I think the gravy was the star of the show, though.
Oh, okay.
I made a fresh batch of chicken stock and then made that into a enriched turkey stock that cooked for like 2 hours. And then I made the gravy from all of that. And it was just
impressive.
It was very good.
Good.
So speaking of Black Friday is always a hyped time in disc golf. Although it felt a little, I don't know, something about this year just felt a little off to me compared to past years where people are just frothing at the mouth to have Black Friday. And I'm sure that people and companies sold a lot of discs this year, but there are some things that felt a little unusual. So first I want to ask you, did you take advantage of any, let's call it sort of sales this weekend, whether that was Cyber Monday, Black Friday, something in between? You know, this has now become like a 2-week event as opposed to just a 1-day thing. Did you get anything?
So kind of. Well, yes. I Friday morning found some time to go disc golfing that I didn't expect. And so Jason Oxen, who runs 208 Discs in Boise, met me at his shop at 7 a.m., even though he doesn't open until 10, in order to let me get a couple of discs so I could go play around a disc golf on Friday. Gave me the Black Friday discount and all. So I bought a couple discs, but that was really so I could go play. I also
you didn't bring your bag with you?
I didn't bring my bag. I wasn't expecting to have time to disc golf.
Got it. I mean, you're so committed to not having the bag that you don't even bring the bag. You don't even have a bag. You don't even have any discs.
That's right.
You buy them new every time you play.
Every time. It's an expensive hobby for me.
Okay.
But then I ordered one Halo Tomb from Infinite Discs.
All right, great. So what was the deal on that?
I don't even know if it was a deal. I know it was a new release that they released on Friday.
Okay.
I love tombs. I have multiple tombs. I bag multiple tombs, and this is the first time I had seen it in Halo plastic. That I think was their Black Friday offers. That it's in Halo plastic.
Got it.
So I bought one of those.
What was the Black Friday deal at 208 Discs?
I think they gave me 30% off.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
So
a nice big blanket discount feels like a pretty good situation.
It was good. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So. Interesting this year, you know, I was expecting a little bit more in the way of Black Friday discounts from manufacturers because I'm starting to get the sense that there's a lot of plastic getting backed up. And there were some good deals out there. Mm-hmm. You know, I spent a bunch of time on Friday pulling together all of the deals into a post on Multiworld. And, you know, DD had a thing where it was if you spend $100, you get a free bag.
Yeah.
And if you spend $250, you get a free basket. You know, that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
Now, of course, one of the sort of iconic and now much copied things that we see on Black Friday is the mystery box. Discmanias, in particular, has been extremely popular in the past. Sells out immediately. There were all kinds. I mean, we've talked on the show about all the kinds of problems they were having with fulfillment. Of course, we've seen a lot of changes at Discmania with the move away from Innova, etc. Now, here, let's talk about this. So they released their box. I think guaranteed 9 discs. Mm-hmm. One of which was a new DD1 with the
Horizon.
I think they call it plastic. The Stratosphere plastic. So
I think it's the Horizon plastic. The Stratosphere was the theme of the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't keep up with all the marketing lingo.
It's a Halo DD1.
Thank you. That's everybody understands that.
Yes.
And Innova's like, we just kind of keep cashing in on that Halo name.
Yes, they do.
So, it's hard to know how many they made. Obviously, they control their own production now, so I'm sure they made a lot more than they made in the past to try to meet the demand. But interestingly, day 2, they basically cut the price by $10. And all the people who bought on day 1 are not very happy about that. They've also started to do some marketing after the fact with like Eagle and Simon doing YouTube video with mystery box stuff, but after the initial drop. And they're still available. You can go get one right now. Mm-hmm. What has happened here? Do you think this is Discmania made so many more boxes that they just are still trying to sell them all out? I mean, it is a little unusual for them to go on a discount after they're already discounted in theory, right? That's the whole concept of the mystery box, is that it is already a discount. You get 9 discs for $100. Is something happening here, Josh?
The one other thing I'd like to note is that the people who paid at full price were early access subscribers who subscribed to their newsletter and jumped on with the email drop before everybody else. So we're not even just talking about it goes live and everybody goes. This is like subscribers paid the $99 and then found out the next day that they were being sold for $10 cheaper. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do or what they have already done, to be honest. Yep.
But I think you got to send people back a 10% rebate, like not even a coupon.
Just
like you just got to give them $10 back and let them match the deal. That's the only right thing to do in this situation as a company. Otherwise, you're just literally pissing off your best fans who wanted the thing the most. And then you're like, you know what? We're going to give everybody else a discount.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the question.
Yeah, back to that
what's
question.
What's going on here?
I think it's kind of twofold. Number one is that mystery boxes were a really big deal during the pandemic, and I think it was largely driven by the lack of access to discs. Buying 9 discs and getting variety of discs was difficult to do during the pandemic, especially if you were guaranteed some exclusive release and something really cool. And so that thought of being able to get those 9 discs at a discounted rate was very appealing.
And especially from Discmania.
And especially from Discmania, given how scarce Discmania in general was. I mean, you go to Discmania website and everything was out of stock. And so getting anything from Discmania was nice thanks to that scarcity. That is just not the case this year. And so when I look at mystery boxes, I'm like, why would I buy that when I know that I'm not going to throw probably 8 out of 9 of those discs? And then I'll try the DD1 and who knows if I even like it. So that's the first hang up that I have, and I think part of the thought process behind it. The second one is when you think of Discmania, what are the molds you think of as being most popular? They're the originals line, or even if they're the new originals line, it's the P2s, it's the MD3s, it's the PDs, the PD2s, the DD3s. I mean, that the originals line is what Discmania is known for and is their most popular stuff. It's been around the longest. So it was made with Innova and then moved over, and now they do it on their own. But the problem is half of this box includes the Evolution and Active line, and I know tons of Discmania fans who don't even throw Evolution or Active line discs. I have not met anybody who actually bags an Active line Discmania disc. Some Evolution line, yes, like the Enigma, but on the Active line, I haven't met a single person. And so it really feels like the inclusion of Active line and Evolution are kind of, it goes back to the joke that you see on social media where you buy the box of last year's unwanted discs at a discount.
I mean, is that wrong? The thing is, I think once upon a time, the Discmania mystery box was legitimately a great product, where it was like, not only were you getting a lot of discs for your money, but you were getting good discs, difficult to find discs, rare discs.
Yeah. And
then it's kind of slowly gotten less interesting, and the supply has met the level of demand in the market in general for Discmania discs. And like, are people that thrilled about the new disc lines that they've come out? Like, are the new originals satisfying people to the same extent? It shows you how fickle the market can be.
Mm-hmm.
And what's hot one day is not hot the next. This year, the MVP mystery box, whatever it was called, blah, 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 has been the hot ticket item. I don't know, like, MVP is suddenly like this super hot brand. I don't really know how that happened.
I do.
Well, okay.
A long-haired man threw in a disc from 250 feet.
It's actually incredible how much money they've earned from that. But I think you have to prove it to your fans that it's worth it. And when people got burned last year with a bunch of junk, like, if the half the box is junk, the other half needs to be really good for people to feel like they got a good deal. But it just, in general, it feels to me like we have reached a point that I knew we were going to reach. All the new players are here. Mm-hmm. They already play. They're not trying to fill their bag anymore. All of the existing players, sure, there are people who are just going to buy discs forever and ever because they're just obsessed and they have racks and racks and racks and racks of discs in their house. But, people are starting to think a little bit about belt tightening. Obviously, we've got a lot of inflation in the general economy. There's been a ton of inflation in disc golf. I mean, it is the cost of discs has gone up dramatically in the last 2 years. Dramatically. And so, you combine those things with the fact that, like, mostly people just want one or two discs right now. Like, I want to get that specific disc. There's just less demand for give me anything, combined with sort of the macroeconomic factors going on, combined with a glut of discs that maybe aren't that popular that now manufacturers and retailers are trying to get rid of. Mm-hmm. So we'll put them in a mystery box. Well, people don't want that. People don't want that stuff. And there's not the same drive of new players coming in. Now, obviously, there are still new players. Mm-hmm. But what is the percentage of new players compared to pandemic year or even 2021? It's just way smaller. So there's not the same, like, I will fill my bag with whatever. Because I think if you're just a brand new player, buying a mystery box is actually a pretty good way to get your disc collection started because you're getting a lot of discs for sort of the minimum amount of money that you can get them for without, going to a Play It Again Sports or something like that. So anyway, I'm going on and on here. My point is, stuff's not just going to automatically sell anymore. Mm-hmm. And I would not be surprised if we see continued struggles from retailers to get, like, discs that people don't want off their shelves. There's also so many more retailers now. Market share becomes an actual thing you have to worry about a little bit more because now we have increasing numbers of retailers involved in the space. I think we've certainly seen the supply and demand balance change, where we had massive amounts of demand over the last 2 years and supply not able to reach it. And we have seen so much supply flood into the market. And at the same time, we've seen demand cool and we're swinging the other way. And they say the best cure for high prices is high prices. And that's where we're at right now, where we're going to start to see prices come down on discs into 2023. I think we're going to see companies starting to, like, have stuff level out, Mm-hmm. Like 12 months ago, shipping a container from China was incredibly expensive and heavily delayed. And that cost has basically completely fallen out of the market. And now there's so much shipping available. And we're going to see those things start to pass through the disc golf market, where it's like we have all of these machines making all of these discs, but the same amount of people are not necessarily buying it. So I think we're seeing the early signs of that right now.
I think it'll just be interesting to see where the market equilibrium is.
I agree.
In the new supply demand kind of forces that we're experiencing right now. You, as you were mentioning how much more expensive those, discs have gotten. I just think of, like, I bought a handful of discs to play on Friday, and even with the discount, pre-pandemic, my discs would have been cheaper than what I paid.
Right.
And it's true. And I think the other problem with these mystery boxes, with people, like you mentioned, tightening the belt with the economic difficulties that many people are experiencing, I think even if though that the $100, it really is significantly more in value, I think the biggest problem is $100 is still a high price point for people to spend on discs. And maybe a 5-disc $50 box would be more appealing, but at that point, you're not moving the junk as much, or you're just given a box that is 60% junk. So I'll be interested. One other thing I'm going to be interested to see are people's reactions once they get the boxes, because this is just based solely on the new discount that they did. We have not seen what's in these boxes yet. So I will be interested if like it's just full of MD1s and then the Evolution and the Active line and then the DD1, right? And doesn't even have the best molds of the originals line that people like.
I mean, they have to kind of re-earn some credibility. I think Discmania fans feel a little burned from last year when it was not a particularly compelling product offering. Mm-hmm. And they need to get back to making it really cool and feel like it's really worth it. And, we'll see how it goes. I mean, otherwise we'll see more discounts. Fascinating stuff. I think it at times feel a little odd, Are we going to see, think about how quiet the off-season sponsorship market has been too. I mean, It has been crickets. This time last year, I mean, every week it was crazy news. Somebody switching who was tearing up an old contract. The people who signed last year have got to be feeling really good about themselves, because I think that there was just nothing but money flush everywhere. And we saw all these big deals get signed, and now it's very quiet. And I'm not saying it's going to necessarily stay this quiet. I think we're going to start to hear some stuff moving around over the next few weeks, and certainly after Gen 1, when contracts expire, we'll have a big flood of news. But it just doesn't feel like it's the same kind of situation this year. But I will say, Lone Star re-signs Chandler Kramer. They have been the busiest player in the offseason market. Of course, signing Nico, now re-signing Chandler Kramer. And they have also signed hundreds, maybe thousands of local disc golfers who they reached out to in a massive email campaign and said, hey, we'll sponsor you. We'll give you 4 discs, a t-shirt, a 10% coupon, and all you have to do is only throw Lone Star discs and post on social media. And Josh, it seems like a lot of people took this deal.
It does. I personally don't understand it. I've seen sponsorships like that, and I know some have better value than others. But man, I just don't get it personally, because I think of the cost for me personally. Like, let's say I took that deal right now. I think of the cost that it would take for me to, I think 90% of your bag has to be Lone Star. If I just bought a bare minimum, 15, 20 discs to throw, and assuming I like every disc I purchase, I get no, oh shoot, I actually want to do this other one instead. I get no backups for field practice. I have to get a couple polos. I'm still into this $300, $400, $500. And I got four.
But
four
you're
discs.
Sponsored, Josh.
But I'm sponsored, man.
I think I am a total mixed bag player. I don't have any brand loyalty. I like lots of discs from lots of companies. Yep. If a company wanted to sponsor me, let's say not even I don't talk about it on the podcast or anything, right? No influencer or whatever. Just I'm just a person out there on the course, and they want me to only throw their discs. I mean, they got to pay me $5,000 to $10,000. Otherwise, why would I do that? Yeah. I like to play with all the discs that I like to play with. I'm not going to throw yours just because you're going to give me a discount code. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you gave me all the discs for my bag, and I got future discs either at heavily discounted or for free, then maybe I would consider it just because of the in-kind value. But sure. Otherwise, nah. But I got to give him credit. This has worked incredibly well. I mean, the Lone Star is the talk of the town, both on sponsorship moves and on this massive sort of what you might call street team campaign. We've seen this, similar situation from other companies in the past, but I don't think we've ever seen it done to the same blast marketing effect. So pretty interesting stuff. And Lone Star, here we are talking about it. So Josh, are you seeing Lone Star a lot out on your courses?
Oh, on my courses, I haven't seen a single Lone Star disc in person ever. Yeah, no. I know one local player in the area, not even in my town, who is now on the Lone Star street team or whatever its equivalent is.
So you're aware of this happening.
I'm aware of it happening. I saw it on Reddit, and then I saw one player in my area who announced it, and maybe there are more, but I just saw the one. But like my local Infinite Discs, I don't think they order any Lone Star stuff in stock.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there's a regionality thing there too.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. We'll see what happens.
You know what's the craziest thing to me is that you have two companies that are vying for the same sort of regional status at the same time. Because you have Mint and Lone Star out of Texas. It's really interesting to me.
Sure.
That's
big market.
It is a big market.
Texas is the number one disc golf market in the country.
That is true.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Lone Star has been making the bigger moves so far. You're up, Mint. All right, really quick, before we go into our Upshot first annual awards. That's what we're going to call this. We've got to have a catchy name, Josh. We'll unveil it after the break. But first, a couple of emails coming in about our episode last week where we got into sports envy, for things we wanted to see in disc golf from other sports. Got one from Steve here, who gives a friendly amendment to Josh's World Cup idea. Structure the tournament like the Little League World Series, with a U.S. side of the bracket, with players competing in state-based teams, not a country-based team, in state-based teams, and an international side of the bracket, and make it teams of two. Imagine Macbeth and Barsby for California versus Wysocki and Barella for Arizona, Simon and Casey White for Massachusetts taking on Calvin and Double G for Florida. On the other side of the bracket, the other countries play their best two players, and then the final is the remaining U.S. state versus the remaining international country. This is exactly how Little League World Series does it. Mm-hmm. You like it, Josh?
Love it. I would eventually like to get to a full World Cup style as disc golf grows, but I mean, like I mentioned, we're decades away from that, possibly at least a decade, in my opinion, from that being a reality. And so I think this is an excellent interim solution.
All right, and then let's see. We have one coming in here from Nathan. Actually, a couple of different Nathans. Nathan D. I'm not going to read this whole email, but he doesn't really watch team sports, he says, and he didn't expect to like the episode, but he did enjoy it, actually. And he gave a long thought about the Tour de France, which is a favorite of his. He likes to watch cycling. And he said, every stage... Oh, let me back up. The main thing that makes a prolonged event like the Tour de France intriguing to follow is the races within the race. Every stage of the event has a winner, which is an incredible accomplishment for any rider. This could be compared to the entire tour season of disc golf, with the winner at each event, but also to hot rounds each day at a tournament. He says these hot rounds could be acknowledged, highlighted, and potentially awarded more. Is there an award for the most hot rounds of the season? And is this trackable as the season progresses? I mean, it's certainly trackable. The Tour de France also has the most aggressive rider of the day. They have the best climber. So, you score points if you climb mountains the best sprinter. There's a lot of different various things, the best team, the best young rider. And his point is we should do more with this in disc golf. Why not, track the best putter at Pro Tour events and give out an actual prize for the best putter? I actually think that's a great idea. The tour could implement some kind of bonus system for being the best putter, the best driver, and you could determine the statistical categories, but you could track them over the course of the season, the same way that there's an award in baseball for Gold Glove or for who wins the batting title, because it's a statistical game. Disc golf is very much a statistical game. So I love the concept of having more sort of inter-season competitions that are disconnected from the individual event leaderboards.
I think it also incentivizes and gives you things to track in tournaments. So, for example, if you're on coverage, they could cut to Andrew Marweed, who needs to make 80% of his putts in this tournament in order to capture the putting title. I mean, those are storylines in broadcasts that add variety and intrigue to storylines that are not just who is winning the tournament at that time. And I think really improves and increases the value of live coverage.
And then this last one from Nathan G. He says, I live in a gated community, and we have a park with a playground, basketball court, tennis courts, and baseball field. The baseball field hasn't been used for a long time, and the tennis court's hardly used until the past year. A 6-hole disc golf course was made in which half the holes are on the old baseball field, and the tennis courts have portable pickleball nets. This shows a trend of how these two upticking sports are helping places gain more attraction. It's a great point. Mm-hmm. I mean, there you go. The two hottest growth sports in the country overtaking the dusty old baseball and tennis courts. It's sad to see tennis courts get given away to pickleball, but I understand it.
And the other thing, it's about the accessibility of that game and of the games, right? And it's about the number of people that you can conceivably play with as well.
True.
Right? So when you think of baseball, I mean, yeah, you can take 3 people out there, but I mean, there's only so much enjoyment in 2 people playing outfielder and chasing balls all over the place, even if you're just, kind of pitching to yourself. But disc golf, you can go by yourself, 1-2 people, fine. Pickleball, it's just 2 people, very accessible. That's the priority right now in growing sports. It's accessibility.
All right, when we come back, we're giving out our year-end awards. Don't go anywhere. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Make sure you check out Pound's Custom Pack Builder, where you can customize every aspect of the bag, from the upper fabric, the lower fabric, the zippers, the sliders, the cords. You can get an Octothorpe, an Octahall, a toolbox, or even a Carlton in custom options. And stay tuned, Rufus Customs coming soon. Go to PoundDiscGolf.com to check out the Custom Pack Builder today. Welcome back to the Upshot. Before we dive into our awards for the year, just want to give a quick congratulations to Kona Panis and Colton Montgomery, who got married recently. And, of course, always lots of great photos online. It seems like, most people get married in the summer or the fall or the spring. But in disc golf, everybody gets married in the winter. I mean, I guess it's technically still fall. It's still fall.
It's still fall.
But off-season is the time for weddings. Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does.
So congrats to them. And that brings us to our awards for the 2022 season. We're calling these, we're very creative. We're calling these the Birdies. We got a few Bogeys as well, but these are going to be the Birdies. And in the future, I'm serious about this. We're going to maybe make some trophies up and send out Birdie awards. And maybe we'll expand on this in the future. And people could get a little birdie trophy. So here we go, Josh. The Birdies. We do have a little bit of crossover categories with some of the awards that the Pro Tour gives out, but we're mostly going to kind of steer in other directions to keep things interesting. I think a lot of we've already talked about our brackets and sort of who we would vote for or who we did vote for all of the Pro Tour Media Awards. So Let's dive in. First of all, just let's get it out of the way, Josh. Player of the year, the Upshot Birdies go to Ricky Wysocki and Kristen Tatar. Josh and I were unanimous on this back when we voted for the Pro Tour Awards, and regardless of how you draw it up, whether it's Pro Tour specific, majors, when you include everything, I think it's very clear that these two players separated themselves in 2022.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think this is one of the easiest ones to pick. I think the next award, though, is one that we talked a little bit about when we were doing our voting, because some people had voted differently than we did based on most improved player. Kind of an attitude. We did this year our comeback player of the year. And we did so because we think it's a great story regardless for comeback players. But this year, without a doubt in my mind, Simon Lizotte wins comeback player of the year, having the kind of season that he did, coming off after an injury and being just such a high profile player and kind of falling from that esteem in his play, and then coming back and winning 4 Pro Tour events this year. Just an incredible storyline. Our FPO comeback player of the year is Jennifer Allen, who also took time off during COVID, was not touring as much, came back full on tour this season, and was able to qualify for the Pro Tour Championships. So Jen Allen wins the Birdie comeback player of the year.
Well said. I don't have anything to add. They were great. I mean, Simon is the obvious story, but Jen Allen did a really nice job this year, and I think was relevant on tour, which, she really hasn't been for the last few years. Next up, our Rising Star Award. Who are the players who are separating themselves as they climb up the leaderboard and put themselves into our mind as the next future stars on tour? In FPO, the award goes to Valerie Mondahano, winning multiple Elite Series events this year. Those are her first wins on tour. And going from a player who was sort of an intriguing up-and-comer last year to becoming somebody who we were early in the season talking about whether she belonged in the conversation with Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen and Kristen Tatar. Mm-hmm. And that is high praise. I mean, it almost feels like she's too established to win a Rising Star Award, but that's just because she was so good early this season. She certainly showed us some signs last year, but I think overall you have to give it to a player who's winning there for the first time on tour this year. She will certainly not be eligible in the future.
That's for sure.
And in MPO, we are going to give it to Gannon Buhr. Very similar story here. Obviously, very promising player. There are players who you might consider to be sort of lesser known who are climbing the ranks right now that you might consider giving this to, an Alden Harris type. But Gannon Buhr is, how do you not give it to him? He gets his first win on tour this year. He wins a silver, and then he wins, of course, at USDGC, and is already a star at this point. Yep,
he is. The ascension was quick.
Very quick.
Our next award goes to the Clutch Player of the Year. The first one on the FPO side, Valerie picks up her second birdie of this awards show. Waco, her shot on hole 18 in the backhand, playing against the out of bounds in order to take her first ever Disc Golf Pro Tour win, was an exceptional shot and showed a lot of nerve. And it's something that, especially after last season, where you think of Throw Pink Women's Championship and she has the heartbreak on 17, for her to then turn around and have some of the performances she did down the stretch, we give the Clutch Player of the Year to Valerie Mondahano. For the MPO player, come on, you can't pick anybody but Mr. Paul McBeth, especially after his performance at the World Championship. The putt on 17. This is an award that probably should be renamed after McBeth when he is no longer actively competing, because he just defines this award.
Yeah, ultra clutch. How do you not look at Worlds and think about the massive amount of clutch that had to happen there down the stretch? It was just insane. Quick mulligan for you, Josh. It was 17 for Mondahano's big shot.
You're right. I knew that. It
happens. And just like, I think we actually don't have this as a specific category, and maybe we should. We have like putt of the year coming up, drive of the year coming up, shot of the year. I think Valerie Mondahano's shot at Waco is in the conversation for shot of the year.
Yeah.
For just sort of like overall key moment, right? Maybe we could give it upshot of the year if we want, something like that.
Yeah.
But that was so clutch.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. Dog of the year goes to Owen Scoggins. Owen Scoggins is your dog of the year. She's no longer eligible for this award in the future. Will now forever be known as the Owen Scoggins Dog of the Year Award in future years for our Birdies awards. And I mean, what a season for Owen Scoggins! So awesome, and it was a lot of fun doing the Dog of the Day, and now she gets Dog of the Year.
Yes, she does. Yep, it's a aptly named award that I think will forever live on. I mean, Owen just embodies it. Congratulations to Owen Scoggins.
And you know what? She also doesn't get salty when she's playing bad.
Yeah,
and that also makes her the Dog of the Year.
Yes,
because there's a lot of players who get a lot of salty.
All right. Next, we have the performance of the year. The performance of the year takes into account both the importance of the tournament, but also just the level of play that was achieved at this tournament. We have the MPO performance of the year goes to Eagle McMahon at the European Open. That performance, especially, I mean, it's a major. It's the Discmania flagship tournament. And for him to come out and average in the 1070s for that entire tournament, beating out Paul McBeth, who now holds some of the records for the best second place finish ever at a major.
Also averaged in the 1070s. Is just an exceptional performance. I mean, Eagle would have been completely forgotten about this year if he had not shown up and won the European Open, especially in the manner that he did. So, performance of the year on the MPO side goes to Eagle. The performance of the year on the FPO side goes to Kristen Tatar at the World Championships. Averages above 1,000 rating. First time the World Championship to have a FPO player average over 1,000 rating. Just exceptional golf from Kristen Tatar at the World Championship. And, by round 5, it just didn't even feel like it was a question that it was going to be hers to win. All right, we're going to change gears a little bit here. We've got a bunch of shot-making categories coming up in a little bit, but we're going to switch away from the on-course things, and we're going to go to advertisement of the year. Now, we thought about this one a bunch, and it ends up being something we've already talked about on today's episode. It's Lone Star Discs spamming people with a chance to become a sponsored player and capturing hundreds of people, and they become Lone Star advocates, filling their bag with Lone Star discs and going around courses all over the country to push this new brand. It was a brilliant move.
It was.
And how much is it really going to cost them? You think about the actual cost of sending somebody 4 discs. That's maybe $10, something like that. When you account for shipping and everything else, maybe $20 absolutely at the max. That is money well spent. Great job, Lone Star.
The next award is Social Media Personality of the Year. This actually goes and is given for 2 different reasons. So first, we're going to give it to Alden Harris. Alden Harris's YouTube videos and social media have been beloved in the disc golf community. It features, I think it's nice because he has a great supporting cast. He's got Gannon Burr and Isaac Robinson and other guys around who are good at that social media presence, but his social media game has just been top tier over this past year and really helped develop a name for himself. He had some good performances as well, but I think he cemented himself as a really kind of a well-known name in disc golf thanks to, as well, his social media. On the FPO side, this award is going to go to Holland Handley for an excellent series of instructional videos. Really strong instructional content that comes from a former athlete. Remember, Holland plays collegiate volleyball and moves over to disc golf. I think really takes advantage of how to harness athleticism and people who have a natural inclination for sports and converting that into disc golf skills. It's really well done, and I highly recommend checking them out if you have not yet. So Holland Hanley wins our FPO Social Media Personality this year.
All right, our Breakout Manufacturer of the Year award goes to Clash Discs. They played their cards right this year.
They really did.
They come out, they use a naming convention that really hasn't been done, food, and they have these nice brightly colored discs. They have a great design aesthetic, personal opinion here. And then they plaster Disc Golf Network with ads. They do the deal with Nico and then drop Nico like a hot potato when it's like no longer wise for them to be associated. And they have just completely become, I mean, they're not maybe even necessarily the biggest new brand, but as a breakout manufacturer, they've done a lot in a little bit of time to become known and to start getting onto retailer shelves.
They've shown a strong model for small companies that want to break out. Even if it, like you said, they're not rivaling any of the big companies right now. They may not even have the highest sales, but it's that kind of notoriety and influence that they have developed that's a big deal. Next award is the Media Personality of the Year. This award goes to the one and only Mr. Nate Sexton. Nate Sexton is the golden standard when it comes to commentating, and he is showing a model of what commentators need to look like as the sport continues to develop and professionalize. When I think of Media Personality of the Year, given that we're not giving ourselves awards, because I mean, come on, Charlie, we're featured on tour. We've got clips of us on tour for this docuseries on tour.
Where's my royalty checks? Where's my royalty checks? I mean, I'm like, whoa, like this is everywhere. We are not eligible for this.
We're not eligible for this award,
nor should we win over Nate Sexton.
Nor should we win over Nate. That is a fair point. Nate Sexton really is pushing the commentating game forward, and I hope that he continues to make the choice to stay involved more and more in media.
I think this is our first year giving out the Birdies. I think Nate Sexton would probably have won this award like at least the last 2 years as well.
Yeah,
the guy's he's got a real talent for it. Okay, press conference of the year. There's just no question, folks. The spectacle, the video, it's the dynamic discs. We just signed Kona and Ricky press conference, the helicopter videos, people swagging into the dynamic discs with the fountain and everything. I mean, they legitimately had actual newspaper reporters at the press conference. That doesn't happen in disc golf.
No, it doesn't.
I know it's Emporia, but it's something. Maybe there were spicier moments at other press conferences, but does anybody remember any specific press conference from any of the Disc Golf Pro Tour stuff? Total snooze fest 95% of the time.
Yeah.
The DD press conference was amazing. Like, Kona's taking shots at Innova, Ricky's taking shots at Innova. It's like weird because he broke his contract, and it's just like all of this total crazy pomp and circumstance with the whole thing and the reveal. Amazing.
It was amazing. So we are now going to shift gears again, and we are going to give out, I mean, are birdies really that impactful if they're not paired up with some heartbreaking bogeys? I just don't think so. I think we got to have the bogeys as well.
We do have some more birdies coming up later, but it's bogey time.
First bogey. This is the first one that came to my mind. Biggest letdown this year. My award for the biggest letdown, I guess it's our awards, but the first one came to my mind. Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones comes off. Prodigy loses Chris Dickerson in pretty spectacular fashion. And Kevin Jones is branded as the guy. He gets the ads about the music-themed discs. He's your DJ at concerts. I mean, he is Prodigy's guy. And then I don't know you had lots of other strong Prodigy players, but Kevin Jones Jonesboro, he was close to it, but didn't make the playoff. I think overall, for someone of Kevin Jones' caliber, who has wins on tour and was the guy for Prodigy, I think it was a pretty overall disappointing season for Kevin Jones.
And ends up finishing in 11th in the Pro Tour standings, but it just being solid isn't enough.
No.
You got to be able to pop off and win sometimes and be in the mix, and it just never felt like he was in the mix. Continue.
Yes. On the FPO side, we picked Evelina Salonen. I think the reason Evelina takes this award is because of her ceiling. We know how good she is, especially off the tee. We've seen her. She goes back to Europe, plays in a couple events, and can't miss a putt. But then plays on at European Open or in the United States, and putting just falls apart. We know Evelina has the capability to be one of the best players on tour, but was overall just held back by her putter. And despite being hyped at the beginning of the season incorrectly by us as the European FPO player to watch, it just really overall was pretty disappointing that Evelina wasn't even able to take down a single win.
Best thrower on the planet in FPO and cannot sniff a win.
I mean, I think you can make the argument in terms of just like pure throwing. She may be the best player on the planet, no qualifiers.
Okay. Interesting. I don't. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Like if we're talking relative to division, sure, I'll give
relative to division. Yeah, like it is relative.
I think that is definitely possible. I think that is definitely possible. Okay. Biggest choke time. First up, somebody who's not going to be winning a lot of bogeys, but has to take this one. Kristen Tatar, Champions Cup. Blew it.
Brutal. Blew it.
Had a putt for the win, had a putt for the probable playoff, and just 3-putted in the worst possible moment to lose in one of the just like most just like heart-wrenching fashions of the season. Like, like Paige taps it in and you're like, ugh. Like even Paige is like, ugh. Like, I guess I won. It was bad. It was really bad.
It was. I don't have anything to add.
There's nothing to say.
There's nothing to say.
MPO, a little more recent. This was tough too. Corey Ellis, final round, MVP Open. He's on 18, amazing position, has a chance to close it out. All he's got to do is put it on the green, and he sends it 25 yards deep into the crowd, just massively overcooks it, ends up not even being able to, because of where he went OB, having a chance to make the putt. He comes close, but doesn't make it, doesn't even get into a spot to win the tournament, and just a brutal way to go out.
Yeah, and Simon winning from the chase card, sitting over there watching by the shed.
Crazy.
Just not even expecting a playoff is what he's probably expecting by that point, but big choke. All right, worst round of the year. This award is not just based on the statistically worst round, because we could go pick on somebody who came and played one tour event, and we could probably find a pretty bad rated round. But why would we do that? Why? That's not what the spirit of this award is about. This award is about a round that it's context that matters. So worst round of the year for me on the MPO side, Ricky Wysocki. Was it round 3 at Worlds?
It was, at USDGC.
USDGC, thank you. Yep. I said, yes, I have Worlds typed in, but it is USDGC. That's why I was confused. Round 3 at USDGC, Ricky is leading 2 rounds in, and then just lays an egg in the round 3. And the narrative of, the majors, Ricky not performing well at the majors, just gone. It keeps going there.
The spectators abandoned him.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go watch the chase card. Like, this is choke fest on the lead card. It was bad.
It was
really bad. It doesn't make any
round.
sense. The guy played great the rest of the weekend.
Yeah.
But it was awful.
It was.
Contextually, I mean, you just can't, moving day, you can't go out there and just stink it up on a day when the course is playing like pretty easy.
Yeah. Not That's bad round. It's a bad round. One that Ricky would soon like to forget. Another round. This round is a little bit based off of kind of the hype from the off season. And see the DD press conference. It's Kona Panis's round 3 at LVC, where she shoots an 868, 11 over par to miss the cut in her first tournament signed with DD. And I remember she was playing okay, like not super great in the first 2 rounds, but nothing like this, and then just absolutely fell apart. And that was the beginning of the end for Kona Panis for this season. That this round really kind of,
Canary in a coal mine.
Oh man, it was bad. It was a bad round, and really I think kind of embodies is really the kickoff of Kona's struggles for the season.
Next up, I don't know if we'll give this out every year, but this year we're giving it out. Worst caddy book of the year, folks. You all know it's the U.S. Women's Disc Golf Championship caddy book. I mean, there has never been, I don't know if there's ever been a worse caddy book in the history of golf, not just disc golf, of golf. I mean, this thing was unbelievably bad. Absolutely no context whatsoever. Like, it was pointless. Why did they make it? Why would you take the time to make that? Putting a green blob on the screen and a hole with zero context about anything on the course. And like, the course is they were fine, you know.
They were good courses. We liked them. Yeah.
This caddy book was so brutal.
I will never forget. I got an email after we did that episode, and he's like, I just could not believe that much criticism was warranted. And I pulled it, and then this guy says, and I pulled it up, and it looked like my 4-year-old used Microsoft Paint to make this.
Oh man, too much.
Yeah. So a unique award. Hopefully this bogey
is retired after 1 year.
That tournaments hear about this bogey and they're like, we don't want to win worst caddy book of the year award.
The bar is not that high. It's not like you got to come out there swinging with some, gorgeous art, but it's got to be better than that.
I will promise you though, if there is a caddy book worthy of this award, this will come out of retirement. So be warned. Even if we retire next year, it can't come back. Yes.
We're watching.
Worst course of the year. This one has got to go to the Thorn at Texas State's. This course, it was terrible. It was so ugly. Like that, and I think that's one of the biggest problems is, it's this new course that had several holes that were just like problems, in my opinion. I didn't think they were well designed, but I don't think you could make an uglier looking course if you tried. I really, like, we give Winthrop some crap for its looks and the aesthetics, because sometimes, you just see like the university and it uses concrete a lot and the asphalt, but there are lots of redeeming features about Winthrop that I think are really, really gorgeous. But this course is just, it looks like
sand and spider webs.
Yeah.
And baseball diamonds with fences.
Yeah, like the signature hole is between a baseball fence and a road on this little hillside.
Total trash.
It looks like someone showed up at a high school and with a bag of discs and they played object golf.
I don't understand. Like, that whole, like, the whole tournament, like, none of the players knew that this was the course they were playing until like a couple weeks before the event.
Yeah.
It was like designed in the middle of the season, and like there was zero effort put into a good FPO layout. Mm-hmm. It was terrible. It was terrible.
It is.
I mean, they got demoted from the Pro Tour.
Yeah, yep. Yes, they did. that should say all that you need.
I mean, maybe it had nothing to do with it, but like, it was not good. Yeah. It was not good.
All right.
It's not just about the competition level of the course. It's also about how it looks and feels, and it didn't have any of that.
It really didn't.
We're going back to the birdies. Okay. So we're going to end on a high note. Let's talking about the worst course of the year. I mean, best course of the year, that's going to be very subjective. I think we're going to I mean, we could give it out real quick. Josh, what do you
Fox
what
Run
do you go
Meadow. Or
with?
excuse me, Brewster Ridge. Brewster Ridge. Yeah.
Is
yeah.
Brewster Ridge your go-to here?
Brewster, I like the woods golf, so like I prefer Brewster Ridge over Fox Run Meadows, but both of them I think are excellent. So Brewster Ridge is my course of the year. If I get the pair especially, yeah, I think that's best. But I don't know if I have to pick one course, just one course, I might give it to Glendoveer.
Wow,
At Portland, that course blew me away this year. It is what every golf course should be if it's going to be on a golf course. If you are a listener to the Upshot, I bet you never would have in a million years thought my potential course of the year candidate would go to a golf course.
Shocking.
But I think what's amazing about Brewster or about
Glendoveer.
The complex Green Mountain. What's it called?
It's Smuggler's Notch.
Smuggler's Notch. Thank you. I think what's amazing about Smuggler's Notch are the two courses together.
Sure.
It's the complex for me that just makes it so exceptional and why I love that tournament so much.
Yep.
But as an individual course, I really, really, really love Glendoveer. So I'll give it. I'm going to give it this year. I'm giving Glendoveer because we may never see this iteration again. Glendoveer wins the course of the year for me.
All right. We're going to go to the number one hole of the year. In MPO, we're going to give it to 16 at the Emporia Country Club. And that's the Island hole. It's an iconic hole every year, but particularly at Worlds this year, it delivered on some drama. Obviously, we saw the playoff go there. Macbeth wins it in the playoff, but it was very exciting coming into that. We saw some aces and stuff. Like there's just it's a great hole, and because it was featured at the World Championships this year, it comes through as the number one hole of the year. And a little bit of a different feel here, but Josh thought of this one. 18 at LVC. Now, I forget which course it was. It was wherever they played the final round for FPO. They have 3 courses there. So I'll look it up while we talk here.
I've got it. You keep going. I'll pull it up.
Okay. Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen end up coming down the stretch. The thing is about this hole, it's not just that it was exciting because Katrina won and Paige, goes OB, but the hole itself is also extremely good. Like there's a lot to criticize about some of the holes and the multiple courses out there in Las Vegas, but this particular hole, very well designed for FPO, feels like it has great risk reward, feels like it has great challenge, and it's just like a really nicely laid out hole. And of course, we got the drama to start the season with Kat versus Paige in a classic battle.
Yeah, it's the Innova course. And honestly, I mean, if we had to narrow it down to just a single hole, I think 18 at LVC probably could win it for MPO as well, given how well the Drew Gannon feature went on 18.
Great point.
So,
Great point.
I mean, it's a really, really good hole. Our next award is going to be the Upshot of the year. The FPO Upshot is one that we've already mentioned this show and this awards show. That goes to Valerie Mondahano, taking home her third birdie, thanks to her shot on 17 at Waco.
I spoiled this earlier, but
you did.
I wanted to add the category, so we added it.
What a spectacular shot.
Amazing.
The pressure and the hole 17 at Waco, I think, could be in contention for a hole of the year. Nico had that crazy throw in on 17. Valerie's upshot. I mean, that really is a tournament defining hole at Waco. Just an amazing upshot. Over on the MPO side, I mean, come on. Can you give it to anybody except Paul Macbeth, hole 17 at Worlds?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's about to win another award for this same hole in just a moment. And obviously that was a big part of the story there. But like where Macbeth was, the position he was in to get the shot as close as he did in a spot where an error could have cost him the tournament. It was awesome.
Right after Calvin went OB on the same shot.
Exactly.
Skipping because he went short. Yeah.
And just like such a narrow window, tight gap. Like you got to throw it so far. You can't go left because there's OB to end up where he did to give himself a look. amazing. And of course, then he's going to win. Putt of the year goes to Macbeth on 17, following that upshot, where, you know, he just daggers it in from like 75 feet. And that was the start of him going on to win that tournament. I mean, you know, obviously it ends up going to a playoff, but he needed that shot to go down. And who knows what happens if he misses? You know, it's not hard to imagine Aaron Gossage hitting his putt from about the edge of the circle if Macbeth misses. Mm-hmm. But it's got to shake your confidence when you get big putted like that. And we saw it happen on 16. You know, mm-hmm. That's something else. That's one you just won't forget. On the FPO side, it's going to go to, and this is like a less obvious putt, but this is one that really sticks in my mind from the year. In round 3, Kristen Tatar at the World Championships had her worst round of the tournament. Mm-hmm. She just was a little off. She had 3 bogeys in the first 6 holes. She wasn't hitting any putts from distance. Like, everything was off the cage, just a little slightly off. And it's not like she played terribly, but it was a day when Holland Hanley shot a 10 under and Hannah Blomroos shot a 9 under. But late in that round, 17, first time all day, Krista Tatar cans it from 50 feet. She big putts Hannah Blomroos, who misses her putt for birdie, goes on to take a par. And that shot, it feels like whatever. It's just in the middle of this round, not that big of a deal. I think that putt, refinding that confidence from distance, ends up leading her into one of the most amazing rounds in round 4. And she goes on to, you know, win the World Championship with a massive lead going into the final round. So I just think that, you know, maybe there's a better example of a putt where somebody cashed one in to, you know, seal a tournament or something like that. This was in the middle, but I having called the action for 5 rounds, that one sticks in my mind as an incredibly important putt. It could have been so different. You know, if she never found the rhythm, maybe she doesn't have that same confidence going into the next day, and you could just see how important it was to her to hit that putt on 17, and that's the one I would say is the putt of the year.
It's a great choice. Our next award is the round of the year. On the FPO side, this one was pretty easy. I mean, we had a couple of candidates that we looked at, but Kristen Tatar's 11 under at round 4 at Worlds just it blew other rounds out of the water. It was the strength relative to the field is what makes this such an impressive round. Her 11 under was the hot round of the tournament for that course at the Emporia Country Club. And as well on that day was the next best round was 6 under from Henna and Holland. Well, 4 players that had a 6 under, but it's that 5-stroke difference that just
sick. And you could make a case for her putt on 14 where she hit from like 85 feet. Big putts Henna. Henna then doesn't birdie again. Yeah. Ends up taking the triple on 17 and completely falling out of competition at that point. Sparked by that shot from Tatar. But, I mean, bogey free, just nasty. Like, hit from 60 feet as well. And the thing is, it wasn't just like big hero shots like that. It was just clinical assassination of birdies. Like, over and over and over. Amazing round.
The next, the best round of the year for MPO goes to Joel Freeman at the Butler County Disc Golf Classic. This is on the Silver Series. It was still called the Silver Series then. And that Silver Series, it's the only award that comes out of a Silver Series event for this year. But Joel Freeman's round 3, a 57. Next best round was a 65. And I think that was the best round of the tournament. 63 was earlier, but the best round of the day by 8 strokes. And the 1077 rating was considered by many to be nothing short of highway robbery, given the quality of that 14 under that it takes over Macbeth's 16 under at Champions Cup.
And reasonable minds can disagree.
Yes.
Macbeth shot an amazing round, but other players also shot amazing rounds that day. There was a 13 under, there was a 11 under. Like, the course was scoreable. Now, a 16 down is nothing to shake a stick at. It was an amazing round, but Macbeth was totally out of contention. On the other hand, Joel Freeman is behind to start this tournament, to start this final round. He's not in the lead. He has to overcome Chandler Kramer and outplay Matty O and Linus Carlson. And it was, I mean, you just don't see people locked in like this in a woods course. This course was eating people up. Like, an 8 under was an amazing round out there, and he shot a 14. It was totally ridiculous. It was incredible to watch down the stretch. And a lot of people probably never watched this round because it was on a silver series, but that one deserves the crown this year.
Yep. What's our last award now?
We are getting to our final award, and it is the Tournament of the Year, our final birdie here for 2022. In FPO, we're going with Champions Cup. First year for the Champions Cup, and it really lived up to expectations. We got the early Paige versus Kristen battle. It comes down to the final hole. It's on a gorgeous property. We had the drama with the whole Elaine King texting Paige's caddy thing. We had, just great shot making across the entire tournament. And I don't know what more you want from a disc golf tournament besides all of that. Maybe a less anticlimactic finish, but pretty awesome stuff, and certainly a memorable tournament. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of tournaments this year, Kristen Tatar just killed everybody by so many strokes that it didn't feel that exciting. But yeah, really Champions Cup brought it.
Yes, it did. On
the MPO side, it has to be European Open.
Without a doubt.
And it's rare to have a tournament where you're like, that was a tournament of the year, when it's just two players who are really in the mix. But the level at which they were playing, the beauty of the course over in Europe at the Beast, the crowds, the pomp and circumstance, and again, the quality of the play from these two guys to just absolutely destroy everybody else and show you the best possible disc golf that we really saw the whole season. Mm-hmm. It's rare to get a tournament like that, and we were all very lucky to be able to watch it.
And don't forget the Nico drama.
Of course. Suspension of the year goes to Nico.
Oh man.
we're saving. There's some more bogeys we could give, but we're saving some.
Yes.
For our gaff bracket coming up in a couple of weeks.
So if you have any that you think of, we've got a handful already, but if you can
stuff,
think of any,
mistakes, gaffes, fails, chokes, any of that stuff, we're doing a bracket. We're gonna pick the gaff of the year.
Yeah, it's gonna be so much fun. I am gonna laugh so hard at that episode because they're just some crazy ones. I'll save them, but we'll be talking about them. So
send us an email, upshot@ultiworld.com. Get in the Discord. Hit us up in the Discord. You can become a subscriber and join the Discord for less than $4 a month and get bonus episodes of the Upshot. discgolf.ultiworld.com/subscribe. That is going to do it for today's edition of the Upshot. Looking forward to our Thursday show. If everything goes as planned, we will have a kind of a combo of our interview series with our Thursday typical show, and we're going to have Jeff Spring, CEO of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, as well as Todd Rainwater, who is the majority owner of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, and a rare opportunity to talk to Todd about the tour and his involvement. He's been involved since very early on in the Steve Dodge era, And so we've got a lot of questions for him and looking forward to the conversation about the quick growing Disc Golf Pro Tour. For Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long, and we'll talk to you on Thursday right here on The Upshot.